Hello, once again, thanks for spending a few minutes with me. I'm going to be talking today about the principles of stewardship. And Jesus is sharing a parable. There's a large audience there that day, a very diverse audience. So he has his disciples and those that are inquisitive, but also the religious leaders showed up that day and they wanted to hear what Jesus was teaching. And so as he was teaching about stewardship, he was teaching about what is the right way to steward our life and our money and our possessions, our time, everything that encompasses who we are. And he was also teaching about those that were not handling it well. And we get to the last verse of this particular parable. In chapter 16 of Luke's Gospel, verse 13, it says, "No servant can serve two masters. He will either hate the one and love the other, or else he'll be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money." Isn't that interesting? Right at the very end, he just puts a nice little exclamation point and he says, all right, you're going to be torn. There's going to be times where you're going to be pulled by mammon. And first of all, let's just talk about mammon. Mammon is the world's influence. It's things that lead us to idolatry. Where we become lustful and we want the things of this world. It's much more than materialism. It's sometimes notoriety and fame and a certain kind of prestige or position. And he's saying, be careful about mammon and the things of this world, because if you go down that road, you cannot serve God. But if you stay on the road of serving God, then mammon will never be a problem. So mammon can be like just your earthly riches, materialism, anything along those lines. And so he said, you guys are in a battle and there's a tearing and you're torn between the things of this world and the things of the kingdom of God. And we know that Jesus always pushed us to seek first the kingdom of God, to love God first, to put God first, to have our priorities right. But then we're pulled because we have responsibilities, we have bills to pay, we're thinking potentially about, what's the future look like for retirement, and so we're like, well, maybe I should pursue just materialism or the ways of the world and riches and fame and fortune, and then, I do love God, but I also need all of these other things. And so let's put to rest some of the ways that we can get away from being torn. All right, if you're worried or you're anxious about something, about like your future and money and needs, we need to take a look back and say, God's always been faithful and he always will be faithful. He supplied yesterday, he's going to supply today. Look at the track record of God and be encouraged. Be a good steward of the things that God's given unto you. Don't hoard it. Just manage it well, give it. There's only three things you and I can do with money. I mean, we can spend it, we're good at that, and we can share it, we can save it. And so let's do all three really well. Watch out for impulsive buying. That's really dangerous. Never be stingy. Always be benevolent and warm and in giving. Don't let greed get a hold of your heart. Greed just says more, more, more. It's just a consuming mindset. Don't be greedy, be content. Don't ever be covetous. Don't ever want what somebody else has. Let me remind you, they make cars every day, clothes every day. There's more than enough for all of us. And then remember, if you're in debt, get out of debt. Get out of debt, otherwise you're going to be consumed by it. It's like being in jail. It's like being in money jail. That's not a good place to be. So what's my encouragement? Hey, serve God. Otherwise, you hate one and you love the other. What a love-hate relationships are horrible. You're loyal to the one, despise the other. Don't do it. Let's keep loving God, serving God, walking with God. His ways are the best ways. And remember, be a good steward. Do what's just and right before God. He'll take care of you. God bless you.